Hey, um, thank you for meeting me here and thank you for your time. I need to tell you that I don't think it's working out and I think we should break up. Don't look at me like that. You're the genius here. You probably saw this coming a mile away. No, I don't want to hear your side of the story because if I let you talk, you'd probably win me over and I don't want you to win me over. This is done, okay? Please don't make me say why I'm doing this. I really don't want to say it. Why do you want me to say it so bad? Why? That's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. Listen, I've already hurt so many other people I care about, and I don't want to hurt you too. And if you want me to tell you why I'm breaking up with you, you're gonna have to give me a good reason to hurt you. And, alright, yeah, I should have known you were up to the task of that. You are who you are, of course. I see. You want the data. You want to know why I'm breaking up with you because you want the data to prepare for future events. Alright, I'll tell you. You're the worst person I have ever met. You are selfish, manipulative, psychopathic. You are an asshole. You are inconsiderate. You are oblivious to what everyone else is going through. And you just make everything worse. Some people just make the world worse by being in it, and that's you, my friend. You just ruin so many good things, and you bring everyone around you misery. There. There you go. That's your reason. That's why I'm breaking up with you. There, I said it. Are you happy now, Clark? You got your data. I... Goodbye, Clark. Good job, Daniel. You did a good job tonight, you really did. That guy was dragging you down for way too long, so good riddance. This breakup was really good for you. It's going to be a really, really good thing for you. It's going to push your life in exactly the right direction. You needed to break this off, okay? You needed to do it. You gotta do what you gotta do. And everything from here on out will be smooth sailing. You are going to be just fine, my friend. You are not going to experience any anxiety or depression as a result of this at all. It's just a breakup. It's not that big a deal. Good night, world. It's the start of another great night for Daniel Kelly. Every night I pour myself a nice bowl of breakfast. I do it every night because that way I don't have to get up in the morning to eat it. gotta pour some for my wife. Yes, I have a wife. I don't remember her name. No, I'm a good husband. I remember her name. It starts with it starts with a letter of the alphabet. After eating breakfast, I go to work. And I say hi to all of the coworkers that I have. Oh, hi, hi. What a nice work day we have today. Oh, how silly of me. I'm not following dress code protocol. There we go. Much better. And now it's time to do work. Let's see, my job is, connecting payments. So we have to connect the payments, and the work for today is done. I believe we're doing this for a client. Can I get my paycheck in advance, sir? After getting fired from work, it's always nice to wind down with a good book, such as Children of Dune. I'm pretty sure I know how to read. The password was given to me by a man who died in the dungeons of Arrakeen. You see, that is where I got this ring in the shape of a tortoise. It was in the suck outside the city where I was hidden by the rebels. The password? Oh, that has been changed many times since then. It was persistence, and the countersign was tortoise. It got me out of there alive. That's why I bought this ring. A reminder. Tagir Mondahis. Conversations with a friend. Oh no, I don't know how to read. I don't need to read to play video games, such as Super Mario Sunshine. Time to play Super Mario Sunshine to relax after getting fired. All I have to do is play the game. Woo! Wahoo! Wee! Yee-hey! Waha! Wahoo! Yeah! Wah! Wahoo! Yee! Wee! Boing! 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 Let's see. To get this next power star, shines bright power star, I have to read Children of Dune. We can still remember the golden days before Heisenberg, who showed humans the walls enclosing our predestined arguments. The lives within me find this amusing. Knowledge, you see, has no uses without purpose, but purpose is what builds enclosing walls. Leto Atreides II, his voice. Oh, I still don't know how to read. Excuse me, sir. I heard you're really smart. Do you think you could teach me how to read? Sir, did you hear me? Could you please teach me how to read? Sir, do you speak English? Do I speak English? I think I do. I don't have it written on my arm, but I don't have Spanish or Mandarin written on my arm either, so...
Where have you been? The final countdown is down to just 3 hours now, and I've been looking for you for 24 hours.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot about our weekly tea parties. Here, come on in and I'll brew you some caffeine-free tea.
Excuse me, do you think this is funny?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were joking. Well, what can I do for you to help?
Christine Hotel, president of the Illuminati. And where have you been for so long? I thought you would have fixed this by now.
Fix what? That's a genuine question. I don't know what you want me to fix.
Don't play stupid, Clark. You know as well as I do that Mortemoff is on his way to devour our entire planet and feed off our anguish to increase his own strength, the same way he does every time he comes across a planet imbued with life. Let's get moving.
Clark? You think that I'm Clark Lawrence? No. You must have me confused. Or yourself confused, I don't really know. But I am not Clark Lawrence, I am Daniel Kelly. Clark Lawrence and I broke up recently.
I don't fucking care. My entire family is gonna die if Clark can't stop Mortemoff.
Well, he's not here, and I don't really know where he is. Did I mention we broke up?
I see. He probably fled the planet out of shame. And now we've got 3 hours left, and the one person who can save humanity isn't even here. Great. Just great.
You look sad. Do you need to be punched in the face? I can never remember whether you're supposed to punch people in the face or hug them if they're sad.
Wait a minute. You say you're Daniel Kelly, and that you broke up with Clark Lawrence. So you must be the Daniel Kelly that Clark Lawrence was talking about. He said you're just as smart and brilliant as he is. If there was ever an emergency, he said we should call you, and you'd be able to take care of it, right?
He did? Wow. He's such a toxic, sociopathic, manipulative asshole. I didn't think he was capable of saying something so kind to me. Okay, I can help you stop Mamamento.
Mortemoff.
Right! So here's what we need to do. We need to bribe him to leave this planet with a copy of the brand new animated movie, Scooby-Doo, Where's My Mummy?
He's a space god.
Right, so that's not gonna cut it. We'll have to throw in a copy of the home video release of Scooby-Doo Meets the Harlem Globetrotters to go with it.
Daniel.
Right! That's not gonna work either. We're gonna have to throw in a 10% off coupon to Langer's Juices. Langer's! It's in the juices.
Clark warned me about this. He said that if the two of you ever broke up, you'd be so distraught that you'd lose your identity. And then I'd have to console you and get you over the breakup so you'd be in any kind of state to save the world.
Wait, what am I saving the world from again?
Oh, you're deteriorating by the minute. We've only got 3 hours before the world ends. We've got to get you over this breakup now.
So, are you my wife?
Focus, Daniel. How did you and Clark first meet?
Well, we didn't really meet. He was just sort of there one day. I don't remember the day exactly, but it was August 2015. I didn't really think much of him at the time. He was just some well-intentioned nerd. He sort of reminded me of my friends. Just 'cause he was so obsessed with Star Wars and he wouldn't stop talking about it. I think his favorite movie was one of the prequels. Definitely wasn't Phantom Menace, so it was one of the other 2 prequels, but I don't remember exactly which one it was. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
What?
Well, when I first met him, he was this nice, supportive guy who was really sweet with a good heart. But, he changed over time. He did. And, I thought he was simple at first, but he really wasn't simple.
I'm still waiting for the embarrassing part.
Well, when I first started getting to know him, and I mean like really starting to get to know him, I really realized he was such a professional rule follower. Like, he would do things like refuse to play his Game Boy Advance SP in the school auditorium before school on any given day, and he was such a dork about stuff like that. And oh my god, it was so obvious whenever he had a crush on someone. Like, he did not know subtlety at all.
I'm still waiting for the embarrassing part.
I'm getting to it, I promise. He always had a good heart, and I always saw that about him, but the more I started getting to know him, the more I realized that he really wasn't like other people. It's really hard to describe and put into words, but there was just something different about him. Something kind of inhuman. Which sounds ridiculous at first, but when you get to know him, it's really not ridiculous. And it became clear to me that he had the capacity for a dark side.
Daniel, I'm still waiting for the embarrassing part.
Sorry, I said there would be an embarrassing part, didn't I? Well, to put it simply, the embarrassing part of this whole thing is, at the time, I thought that he might become a vampire.
You thought he was a vampire?
No. I thought he could become a vampire, but he didn't. He could have become one because of all the darkness in him, but he did not, in fact, become a vampire, and I'm not gonna lie, I really admire him for that. All that darkness inside of him, and yet he only ever showed people his light. He was such a talkative guy, and he just had this big smile, and he always wanted to share what was on his mind and share a fun story with everyone. And he was honestly kind of adorable. Like, he was he was so joyful. Every time I saw him, he wanted to jump up and down. And it was kind of impossible not to be drawn to him, I'm not gonna lie. And, I suppose in a lot of ways he was kind of the opposite of me. I hid my light from people and showed people my darkness, unlike him. I thought that the world didn't deserve my light after what it did to me when I played football, because I just needed help. And everyone around me just thought I was a monster. But Clark, so when I was in high school, I met this warlock. He called himself the Overlord. And he gave me a demonic magical amulet that contained the spirit of a witch who had existed since the dawn of time. And I made a pact with this dark amulet to gain immortality and incredible magical powers at the cost of my soul. And Clark somehow destroyed this magical amulet and freed me from this curse, which was very fascinating. I wasn't sure how he did that, because I was told the spell was unbreakable, but, he broke an unbreakable spell. But, that was quite impressive. And so, after that happened, I decided to finally tell my best friend that I loved him.
I'm still not over how you thought he was a vampire.
He reminded me of a character from a TV show, specifically the Riddler from Gotham, who didn't become a vampire, but sort of became a metaphorical vampire, if you really think about it. You gotta watch the show in order to really get it. But yeah, Clark is the reason I told my best friend I loved him. I don't remember my best friend's name, but I do love him, and I wouldn't have been able to tell him that without Clark. I introduced Clark to my best friend, and they hit it off, and they're still close to this day, I believe. And I decided to finally share my writing with my best friend, and it was nice to share my writing. It just felt really good. And I introduced Clark to my best friend, and I introduced more people to Clark, and I was honestly really jealous of Clark because everybody loved him. And I kind of wanted what he had, that spark. And I asked Clark a little bit about it, and I think Clark is the reason that I auditioned for my first show, now that I think about it. I was pretty nervous before the audition, but I talked to Clark about it, and I followed all of Clark's instructions to a perfect T, and I killed it at the audition. It was pretty awesome. I just went out there and I killed it, and the directors loved me. And it was a sketch show at my high school. That was my first show, and I worked under these two really talented, great directors who became my friends. And, they were incredibly kind to me. They taught me a lot, nurtured my talent. It was just wonderful getting to know them. And, I sort of wanted to pay tribute to Clark and my best friend, so I read the scripts of the sketches that I was going to be in, and I introduced Clark to my new director friends, and they loved Clark so much that they let me do an impression of him for 2 of the 4 sketches that I was in. And I also got them to name the character after my best friend so that I could pay tribute to Clark and my best friend at the same time. And so the rehearsal process was a lot of fun. And then the showtime came around, and I was incredible. I was told that it was a tough crowd, but not when I went out. Can't talk today. Not when I went out there. I went out there and I just killed it. The crowd was a barrel full of laughs after I went out there. And, people hugged me after the show and told me that they didn't expect that I would be such a talented actor. My own parents were in shock seeing what I could do. And I owe a lot to those 2 director friends, and I owe a lot to my best friend. But I owe a lot to Clark as well. And I felt like I felt like I was finally able to be who I wanted to be.
It sounds like Clark makes you feel very loved. Why would you want to break up with someone who made you feel so loved?
Because he's a liar. Because he's a deceitful, monstrous liar when you get down to it. He doesn't know the meaning of the word empathy. Well, he knows the meaning, but he doesn't know how to have empathy. And he told me nothing but lies, and Clark has nothing but hatred for the people around him. He deserves a lot worse than a breakup.
Did he lie to you? Did he lie to you? Did he lie to you?
He did. Those 2 director friends I had were so kind to me. They were so kind and gracious and so sweet. I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I had a lot of fake friends, and I felt really lonely. And my best friend went out of the country for a whole month, and that was really hard on me. And so these 2 director friends, they would take me out and get ice cream with me, and they would get dinner with me. and they would defend me when other people were shitting on me. And they were so kind, and they let me visit them at college, and they just always were willing to listen to what I had on my mind. And they kept telling me that I was such a great person and that I had so much light in me and that I should just show the world all of my light and that I shouldn't hide my light from the world and that I should go say hello to the world and introduce myself. And so I took their advice and I went and knocked on the world's door, went inside of the world, expecting to see something amazing, but it wasn't amazing. It was mean.
It doesn't sound like Clark was the one who lied to you. It sounds like your director friends did.
No, they didn't lie to me. Clark lied to me. It was around this point when I began to see how calculating Clark was. Clark did this thing where he would calculate all of his decisions based on evidence. He told me that it was best to never make a decision until you had sufficient evidence in order to do it, and that when you had sufficient evidence that a certain decision was the right decision, you should just commit to that decision and commit to it hard and be done with it. And he told me that that was how a scientist thought, and he knew that I loved science and math and that I wanted to be a scientist. And I looked at the data, I looked at the evidence. These two people who were my friends, who were kind to me, told me that everybody loved me and all I had to do was introduce myself to the world. But and that made me think that evidence made me think that the community I grew up in that hated me would finally love me if I showed them my light. And so I showed them my light, but they hated me even more. And so the evidence led me to calculate that I couldn't trust my director friends. And so I was incredibly hurtful towards them, and we never spoke again.
It sounds like you're blaming Clark for something he didn't do. It was you that calculated incorrectly.
After my performance in the first show I did, Clark became even bigger of a phenomenon than he already was. Everybody knew him, and everyone loved him, and everyone wanted to see more of him. And no one could get enough of him, but with everything that was happening to me, Clark began to feel like a stranger to me. I got incredibly disillusioned with who he was, and I stopped seeing the light in him. No matter what I could do, I just couldn't see the light in him anymore. And so I decided to leave him behind.
How did that feel?
It felt like I was dying, but I wasn't dying. And that felt really weird. But I assumed that it was a good thing because good things happened after it happened, even if I got a little twisted for a bit. I went to college. I adjusted, despite the fact that it was the pandemic, and I worked a lot on my acting, and I got, really great. I got even better than I already was, which is saying something. And I just acted and acted and acted. But then something else happened. The theater company that I was a part of, that gave me all those acting opportunities, was struggling, and they wanted my help running it, and I had never... I wanted to do it, and I said yes when they asked me to be the treasurer. I said of course, but I had no idea how to be a leader. I mean, it's one thing to be an actor, to think about yourself, and get really good at doing the things that you need to do to make the whole thing work. But to be a leader is something completely different. I had never really done that before. And I didn't know how to make decisions like that as a leader. Now that I think about it, that's probably why I've never had a girlfriend before in college.
Did you know anyone who knew how to make decisions?
Yeah, I did. I think way back when I left him, I knew that it wasn't going to be forever and I was going to see him again. And when I did see him again, after I'd become treasurer of that company, he was different. He was more confident, more sure of himself. And I felt kind of proud of him, but he was still the same old Clark. He started this podcast, and it was really stupid. It was sweet and well-intentioned and a little nerdy, just like he was, but it had so many dumb ideas, some of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard in my entire life. It was 6 episodes, and despite it being some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen, I actually liked it, because I could tell that Clark wasn't committing himself to those dumb ideas. He had an open mind. He still thought of himself as a scientist, and he was open to being challenged and challenging himself and accepting new data to make new calculations and come up with new ideas. And by the end of the 6th episode, I could tell he was a different person. He looked really good in that sweater in the 6th episode, and I think that's why he started wearing all those sweaters afterwards, because it was a good look for him. But he thought like a scientist when he made those podcast episodes, but he was also an artist, and that made me think, maybe a scientist maybe in order to be a good scientist, you have to also be a really good artist. And to be a good artist, you have to be a really good scientist. And maybe, fuck it. Maybe being an artist and being a scientist are actually the same thing. Maybe that's why when I was a kid, I could never figure out whether I wanted to be a scientist or an artist, because I didn't realize that they were the same thing.
And how did that help you become a leader?
Clark gave me a very simple piece of advice about being a leader and how to learn how to be a leader. He told me to just start making films again, and to approach my films the way he approached his podcast. And so I did. I started a new show, and I made 2 episodes, not really expecting much. And I was contacted by a UVM Student Film Festival to have the 2nd episode screened there, and I figured why not? And somehow it won Best Picture, and wow, that was a jolt of joy I felt that day. I was so flustered on stage accepting the award, and I'm kind of still a little flustered just talking about it. And after that happened, I thought maybe Clark is onto something. Maybe it's time to finally start my own YouTube channel. And so I did. And I made a couple more films, and I ended up finishing that show, and I made those films the way a scientist would. because every time I made one of them, I looked at the data, I looked at the goals I had in mind, I analyzed how doing what I did brought me closer or further away from those goals, and I used all of that information to determine what steps I needed to take to make better films. And I worked with a lot of really cool people, and the show I made ended up having 6 episodes, just like Clark had 6 episodes of his podcast. And I began to see that Clark really was right, making the podcast the way he did. Even though he did have, it turns out he did actually have a brain virus while he was making it, and that's why it was so stupid. I didn't know that he had a brain virus when he was making them, but it turns out he did, and that explains a lot. It really does. But, after I really got knee-deep into making those films, I decided to take a shot at coordinating the One Act Festival for the theater company at UVM. And I did a pretty bang-up job, not gonna lie. And I was elected president. And an entire community was depending on me. And I got to meet new people, and I got to learn a lot, and I made decisions based on the vision I had in mind for building such a strong community. And, I got really good at being a leader. It wasn't perfect. I still calculated wrong here and there, but minor missteps. I was a good leader, and I got so good at being a leader and so good at making decisions that I finally decided to ask someone out. And she said yes. And, it didn't work out, but goddamn, we had such a great time while it lasted, and I'm so happy that I knew her. And I decided to ask another girl out a couple months later, and same thing. It didn't work out, but goddamn, we had such a fun time, and she's such a great girl, and I'm so happy that I knew her.
Look at you. You're lucky you're not a father yet.
I might be a father. I honestly don't know. The memory's still a little fuzzy. I hope my kids are okay if I have kids.
We've only got 2 hours until Mortemoth kills us all. It might be time to get around to how you broke up with him recently.
So the more I grew, and the more I kept making art, the better I got at it, and the better of a person I became, or I became an even better person. And also, I got to know Clark a lot more. He showed a lot more of himself to me the more I made art. And let me tell you, he hid a lot from me over those years. Like, goddamn. I knew he was smart, but that guy's a genius. Like, literally, his IQ is probably 4 digits at least. He knows everything. And he can just figure everything out, and he studies everything, and he has such an interesting life. He actually hunts monsters and investigates conspiracies, all to help people. And he's a little bit of an oddball still, nerdy, but not like Urkel nerdy, more like just a bit of an odd James Bond. He conducts social research to understand the feelings and needs of others because he wants to be there for everyone he cares about. And he cares about a lot of people. He pretty much cares about everyone he meets. And he just drives himself crazy trying to look after everyone and just make sure that everyone's okay and that everyone feels loved and supported all the time. And it's really admirable that he does that. And, I learned some kind of interesting things about him, about, like, his body. He doesn't have blood, like, he doesn't bleed. I don't know what's inside of him, but he doesn't bleed. I don't think he's human. Like, genuinely, like, I don't think Clark is a human being. I don't know what he is, but he's not human, but he's good. And I feel like I feel like he's meant for big things, genuinely. He's meant for really big things. He just has this weight to him that I didn't see before. But he's important, Clark. He's going to be really important to a lot of people, I can tell. And I feel like more and more the pieces were falling in place in terms of who he was. And that's why I had to break up with him.
Because all the pieces fell into place?
No, it's because I wanted to be like him. And becoming like Clark showed me how ugly he was. I wanted to stand for all the things that he stood for. I wanted to go out there and hunt the monsters myself. And I wanted to look after people and make the world a better place. But I couldn't calculate correctly 100% of the time. I had blind spots. And I encountered a situation that I didn't have sufficient data for. And I attempted to calculate. But I calculated wrong. I calculated wrong. And I ended up hurting people that I care about and hurting people that I loved. And I did it because I wanted to be like Clark. And I calculate, and I calculated wrong.
And you what? What did you do, Daniel?
I thought back to my two director friends. I thought about them. And I tried to use... I thought back to my two director friends from all those years ago, and I tried to use that data, and, I used the data of my two director friends, and I calculated, calculate, and I calculated wrong. I calculated wrong, and I ended up hurting people that I loved, and hurting people that I cared about. And I failed. I failed the people in my life. And that makes me a failure. That means that I'm a failure who hurts the people that he loves.
And you what? What did you do, Daniel?
I blamed Clark for all of that. And I broke up with him. And because of that, he's not here to save the world. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. Clark's the hero, not me. I'm selfish, and I'm manipulative, and I'm a narcissist, and I'm inconsiderate, and I'm evil. And I'm not capable of improving those things. I try to calculate now, and I calculate. I can't remember anything because I'm calculating. And I don't know who I am because I'm calculating and I'm calculating. And I calculate. And it's not a problem that I calculate. It's not a problem at all that I calculate. That's not the issue. The problem is that I can't stop calculating. No matter what I do, I can't finish calculating. I can't reach the end of the calculation. Every calculation needs to have an end point, an answer. And I cannot calculate down to the answer. But Clark can. And that's why he's the hero and I'm not.
Well, that's just great. But we need someone who can finish calculating. We need Clark Lawrence.
My calculations were wrong.
This is a loaded gun. Now, we both know that Clark is always 5 steps ahead of us. The second I fire this, boom, you're dead. And Clark will know immediately, and he's going to come back and rescue all of us. And between you and me, my first grandchild was just born. And if you think that I'm going to let you or anyone else let this planet get destroyed before I pinch those chubby little cheeks, ugh. We still have a couple minutes left, though, so if you want to say something before I kill you, now's your chance.
Do it. Just do it. I have nothing to say anymore.
Clark! I shot him! I did just what you said! Now please, come save us! Clark, please! We're all gonna die! Clark, please save us! I know I've been so bad. I've sinned so much. But please, my granddaughter's gonna die. Clark! Clark, save us!
Excuse me, but why are you crying? Are you in pain? And if so, is your pain physical or emotional? If your pain is physical, can you please...
Who are you?
Oh, who am I? I am Clark Lawrence. Now please describe your pain for me and tell me whether it's physical or emotional.
Clark, save us, please! Save us from the creature in the sky!
Oh, right, the creature in the sky. I was going to ask you about that. Now, please, we don't have a lot of time, so could you please tell me the name of the creature and give me a comprehensive list of its strengths and weaknesses so that I can devise a stratagem explicitly designed to kill the creature and... Oh, actually, no, there's no time. I'll just scan with my satanic particle scanner. Calibrating. Calibrating, scanning. Scan complete. Oh. This is not good. He is a creature from the 8th dimension in the 5th galaxy. His name is Mortimer. He has a way of taking anguish and translating it into radioactive energy to power himself and grow more scary tentacles. Not good. I'm gonna need to do a big calculation, so stand back. Okay, calculate. Calculation complete. Okay. Gotta establish telepathic contact and... You will see results in approximately 3, 2, 1.
What did you do?
You see, it's actually quite simple. I tapped into his telepathic field, the one that he was using to convert anguish into the radioactive energy that he needs to live, which is, judging by the looks of it, blue sun radiation. However, I disrupted that cycle and instead converted the anguish into core metal radiation, which is poisonous to his species. So naturally, he died of radiation poisoning. Ray!
If it was so easy, why'd you wait until now to do it? I mean, do you have any idea how many people lost their homes or killed themselves in anticipation?
Oh, I care. How dare you? I absolutely care. Caring is what I do. It's, where was I? I don't have my notes, but I cared. I cared this time, and I cared properly, and I must have. I must have miscalculated on how to show that I care, but I care, and I can confirm that for you. I forgot that in the 21st century, you haven't normalized therapy as much as you would in later centuries, and you might assume that I don't care, but I actually do care, and I showed up late because as I was using my time lottery to go on my journey of collecting information about the ancient history of the human race, I made telepathic contact with a Daniel Kelly as I was traveling through the time vortex, and so I decided to pay this year a visit because something was strange and wrong. And I could tell. And I thought I should come check it out, and I would have arrived sooner, but Daniel Kelly broke off telepathic contact with me before I had time to pinpoint this exact time signature. Where is Daniel Kelly? I'd really like to meet him.
Well, he's at the butterfly farm?
Well, gee, quantum physics, that sure sounds spiffy. Can I head up there and meet him?
No. Wait a second. How do I know you if we've never met?
Oh, sorry. I must have accidentally made telepathic contact with you as I was traveling through the time vortex, because time travel's a fickle thing. There's a reason why it was outlawed in my year. I can't discuss what year it is. Oh, I've already revealed too much about the future. Telepathic wipe of the future, of everything I've told you from the future. You won't remember that. And, I'm gonna have to recalibrate this to try to get back to my own year. I know I'll do it, even though I've messed up so many times. Last time I traveled, I ended up in a volcano. Nearly burned my arm off. That lava was hot. But I'll get back to my year. 67th time is the charm. Goodbye.